Hi everyone and happy Thursday. I'm Kylene Terhune, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, and today I'm going to talk to you about coffee enemas. So let me just get this out of the way. Every single time, guys, I start a video, Coco jumps off the couch. She wants to be part of it. She wants to say hi. So let me get this out of the way. I'm not a medical practitioner. I'm not a doctor. So nothing I say is to diagnose, treat, or prevent or cure disease. And basically, don't be an idiot. Do your own research. Make sure this is right for you, and you'll be fine. So I wanted to talk about coffee enemas today because they can be a really, really helpful detoxification tool. And a lot of people freak out when they think about literally shooting coffee up their butt. So if anybody's offended by what I just said, you should probably not watch the rest of the video because you're too delicate to do a coffee enema. But I would hope that you keep watching because they can be very, very helpful in the healing process. Hey Lindsay, hey Jenny. So first of all, comment below if you've ever thought about a coffee enema, or if you've ever wondered about a coffee enema, or if you've ever tried a coffee enema. If you are brave and you have tried it, I would love to know. So quick backstory. You guys know, you've watched me for the past several years working to heal my gut, working to balance my hormones. So I've been through several herbal protocols. One of them was to get rid of H. pylori, which the second time I was successful with. And the reason I think I was successful is because by that time I said, I will do whatever it takes. So a lot of the stuff that I thought was a little bit uncomfortable or a little too tricky or a little too annoying to add into my protocol, hey Ashley, like changing my toothbrush out every 2 weeks, or doing a coffee enema, or getting rid of coffee completely because it was too acidic and that stimulates H. pylori to procreate. All of these things I ended up incorporating the second round, and I ended up eliminating the H. pylori. Good. So I tell you that because I know how scary it can be or how weird it can sound, but a lot of people, it's like anything, right? It's like you have to get to the point where it's the pain of staying where you are is worse than the pain of trying something new or experimenting with something or doing what you know you should really be doing, right? And so that's where I got, and so that's why I tried coffee enemas, and that's why I used them for quite a bit of time, and then I stopped, and now that I have a cancer diagnosis, I have started them again. One thing to know with coffee enemas is that your body will kind of tell you, you'll be able to tell like when it's helping you and when maybe you don't need it as much. So let's talk about what is a coffee enema. If the title of this video caught your attention, that's literally what it is. You're shooting coffee up your butt, but there are several do's and don'ts, and so I'm going to go through those with you today. So basically, the number one thing, the first thing you need to know about a coffee enema is that you cannot use regular coffee, okay? Don't go buy Starbucks coffee. Don't get like this organic coffee that you think is so amazing because it's super pure and you like the person that makes it and whatever. Don't use regular coffee. If it's not coffee enema coffee specifically designed to go up your butt, don't use it, okay? So the reason there are specific coffee enemas, they're formulated to have certain chemicals that are higher in that coffee. So actually, usually it's a gold color, not a black color, okay? So the brand that I like is S.A. Wilson's, and you can get it off of Amazon. But that is specifically designed for coffee enemas. So let's talk about why you would do a coffee enema. Like, whoa, what the heck? Why would you ever even consider like this is a thing? So it does multiple things. One thing, obviously, it cleans out your colon. So you might be shocked to know how much your colon can actually store of rotting waste. Why is this a problem? Because you can reabsorb a lot of that garbage. It can mess up your hormones. It can make you sick. I mean, it's just just think about it. Think about having putrid waste rotting in your colon and never getting out. That is not the way our bodies are designed, right? We're designed to digest everything, to process everything, and if our body has labeled it as waste, it should, within at least a minimum of 24 hours or a maximum of 24 hours, get out of our system, right? Like we want it to be out. So if it's breaking down hormones, we want them to come out. If it's breaking down food, we want it to come out. If it's breaking down chemicals and toxins and heavy metals and all these things that we're exposed to on a daily basis, we want those out. So it becomes a problem when we can't eliminate properly, or if there's some putrefying waste left up in the upper parts of our colon that just never has gotten out, okay? So if you trend towards constipation, listen up, because this is important for you. You gotta get your poo moving. Okay, so the number one thing that a coffee enema does is it flushes you out. It just is very effective of that. Okay, it's very, very effective. But that's not the only thing that it does. And so, like, the difference between like a colonic, for example, and a coffee enema, there's a couple differences. But a colonic is just meant to clear your colon out. A coffee enema is actually meant to help you detoxify. So I'll talk about that in a second. I don't actually like colonics because you go to a facility and you get the little insert thing placed up your butt, and then you lay there as water is constantly shooting up your rear end, and then you have to just breathe and realize when it's getting pretty high and then push it out while water is still going up. It's a weird process. It's uncomfortable. Coffee enemas are so much more, they're easier. They're done in the privacy of your home. Nobody has to be there. And they're in my opinion, they're more effective because they have that second component of detox, and they're also just more physically comfortable because you're not stressed out that if you don't push that you're gonna, get water too high in your system. So I don't really like colonics personally, and that's why. So coffee enema, the number one thing it does, obviously it clears out your colon, which we just talked about why that's important. We don't want to reabsorb chemicals, we don't want to reabsorb hormones that are meant to be out, and we don't want putrefying waste literally rotting in our colon and sitting there, okay, because that can cause a lot of problems. The second thing that a coffee enema does, though, and the reason the coffee is involved, is because it stimulates the liver to detoxify. So a lot of times when we're sick, or when we're going through a parasite protocol or a pathogen protocol, or we're trying to detoxify or whatever, our liver can become overburdened. Now, I would venture to say, and this isn't, I don't know what percentage of this is true or whatever, I don't have any backup for this, I would venture to say that most Americans have an overtaxed liver, right? We're constantly being bombarded with air pollution, with heavy metals in our foods, in our deodorants, in our hair care, in our makeup, all of these different things. We're bombarded with things like fluoride in our water system, and pesticides and herbicides that are on foods that we think are healthy, when in reality all we're eating is chemicals because of what it's sprayed with. And even if you are getting things that you think are really healthy and maybe haven't been sprayed, what's the soil look like? So there's a lot of things in our day-to-day life now, the way we live, that it's very difficult to live a toxic-free life, even if you are conscientious about being toxin-free. So most of us have, at some point, an overtaxed and overburdened liver, because your liver's job is to detoxify, right? 365, right? So your liver is detoxifying, and we also want what it's breaking down, because there's two parts to the way your liver works. It breaks everything down, and then it sends it off to get excreted, right? So we want to make sure that that second part is assisted and that your colon isn't backed up. So it's very important that these two parts are working together, that your liver is flushing things out and that your colon is also flushing things out so that it doesn't get stopped up. Okay, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So what a coffee enema does is it clears out your colon, but it also, while you're holding the coffee in your colon, it gets absorbed into what's called the hepatic portal, which stimulates your liver to release bile and toxins. Okay, so it's not only flushing things out of your system, you're actually retaining it, and then it stimulates your liver to assist it to release toxins. So toxins are really, 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 really important to get rid of, because we end up absorbing them a lot into our muscles and into our bones, and we can retain heavy metals and all these things for years. Therapy, and I'm going to do another video on saunas and the importance of saunas, but people can be exposed to like pesticides 30, 40, 50 years ago and still have them in their body. So it's really important that you assist your liver and you make sure you're pooping, right? And so a coffee enema checks both of those off the list. It helps your liver release toxins, and it also clears out your colon. So let's talk about how to do a coffee enema. So my right arm hasn't been moving because I'm actually holding an enema bag, and I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna take the mystery away from what the heck is a coffee enema. So this is a coffee enema bag. Now, if you don't wanna do plastic, which I completely understand and is a smart choice actually, you can get metal containers and that's fine. There's a bunch of them that you can get. Just Google coffee enema packs or whatever, and you can find a bunch of different brands, and a lot of them are fine. But this one's plastic, very inexpensive, and it does have a tube, but I couldn't find the one that goes to this, and the one I just used is drying, so I didn't want to bring that one down. So this is a coffee enema bag, and you have a tube that goes out of it. It hooks up really easily, and then the other side of that tube hooks up to this. This part goes up your rear, okay? So it has a little hole in it, and that's where the coffee comes out, okay? I know it's super gross, but you're willing to do a lot of stuff when you're sick, people, and in my opinion, you should be doing a lot of these therapies before you get sick because it's going to help you not get sick, okay? So basically what you do is you boil about 4 cups of water and then 3 tablespoons of the coffee. And remember, I said don't just buy any coffee, get Coffee Enema coffee because it's specific and it's actually gold, not black. So you're gonna boil the water, bring it to a boil. You're gonna put 3 tablespoons of the Coffee Enema coffee grounds in there. You're gonna let it keep rolling at a boil for 5 minutes. You're gonna take it off the oven. You're gonna have a separate container, like a glass bowl or something like that, that's covered in cheesecloth so that you can then pour the coffee in there and strain the coffee itself out. So then you just have the coffee water. Okay, so it's kind of a light brown color, so you want to get all those coffee granules out, okay? Then, this is very important, people, and this is where you really have to pay attention because this is where you can get in trouble. You have to monitor the temperature, and it has to be around your body temperature. If it's too hot, it can hurt you, and if it's too warm or too cold, your body's going to want to expel it very quickly because it's rejecting it, okay? It's the wrong temperature. It's not conducive to that environment because it wants it to be body temperature. So remember, if it's too hot, it can hurt you, and if it's too warm or too cold, then you're going to just get it out. And so the reason this is important is because if possible, you want to retain this for about 10 to 12 minutes because that allows your body to circulate through that process that I talked about earlier, stimulating the liver, several times. You don't just get it absorbed into your bloodstream and it hits once, you get to do it several times, okay? So that's actually why you want to retain it. So the first couple times it might be a little weird. You might be really backed up and not know it because you actually poo every day, but there's a lot in there still, okay? So you might be shocked the first time you do this how much comes out. It may also be a little hard to retain because you're very backed up. So this is always my recommendation. I'm also a smaller person, so I think that may go into how much I can retain at a time. So that 4 cups, you don't have to do that all at the same time, especially if it's your first time or you're freaking out about it, okay? So I do pour the full 4 cups in here after I've strained it out. But what I do, oh, I forgot to bring it. Since I don't have the tube, there's a little click on it that will allow you to close off the tube so that the water's not flowing, or open it up so that the water is flowing, okay? So that's very important because you want to be able to control the flow. You also don't want this to be like 10 feet above your head because it'll be really fast and it'll rush in and it'll freak your body out. You want it to be like maybe 1 or 2 feet above the ground. So what I do is I hook it on my shower handle because that's right about right. You're gonna be laying on the ground, so that's about 1 to 2 feet above your body. And then you have that little click thing on the tube which allows you to control the pressure. So whatever you're comfortable with. So I fill the bag up with about the 4 cups of water that I've already strained, and then I let about half of it go in. I don't let all of it go out in. Then I close the tube off so it stops coming in, okay? And then I retain as long as I can. Some days it can be really, really long, especially if I paid attention to the temperature. Some days it's really short, maybe because I didn't pay attention to the temperature, or maybe because my body just really wants to get some stuff out. Who knows? So again, the temperature is very, very important. You got to make sure it's body temperature. But what you're gonna experience is, so let's talk about if you can't hold it. So you're just gonna lay there and just breathe. I like to listen to a podcast or watch a video or something. It kind of distracts my brain from the fact that there's probably some gurgling going on. It's a little bit weird. And so if you can retain it and there's no pain, there's no discomfort, just lay there as long as you can, 10, 12 minutes, that's awesome. Even if you're not feeling pressure at that point, if you've held it for 12 minutes, go ahead and get on the potty and you can just release it all out. Again, you're probably going to be very shocked, especially if you have eliminated earlier in the day, how much still comes out in that first coffee enema, okay? It's really gross and you're like, holy crap, literally, I obviously need to be doing this, okay? So you might, again, if you did this properly and safely and use the correct temperature and the correct coffee and the correct process, you might feel energized the rest of the day. It's not the same as drinking coffee and getting that sort of caffeine jittery or whatever. So, but it is very energizing. Again, you're releasing toxins, you're clearing out your colon. This is a very beneficial thing for your body. So that first time, let's say you held it for a long time, you release, and there's just a lot of crap, okay, literally in the toilet. So then you get back down and you get the other 1 to 2 cups, whatever's left. You may or may not be able to hold that long again, or your body might be like, no, I just did this, I don't want it, and you might have to go right away. So listen to your body. It's okay. If you cannot retain them for long periods of time, you still get the benefit. But again, a key piece to this is the temperature, okay? So you want to make sure that that's right. So let's talk about, you do the first one and you can't hold it. That's okay. That's partially why you start with half the liquid. And that's because if it's scary or if you can't retain it for any period of time, you have that other half that you can try the second time after you've gotten a lot of the blockages out. Okay, so you just kind of have to listen to your body, you kind of have to understand what's actually happening so that you're able to then handle it. So lay down, take some deep breaths, release that little clicker on the tube, let about half of it come in, lay there for as long as you can and just breathe. And then, good. And then go up, get into the bathroom, let it come out, and then lay down, do it again. And don't stress if you can't hold it as long the second time. It's okay, it's totally okay. It may be that it's gotten too cold, or like I said, it may be your body's like, just did this, not ready for it. But you'll be able to kind of feel later in the day, like, was this a good thing? Did my body really, really like this? So a couple things that you really need to be careful with. If I have not emphasized it enough, the temperature of the water is very important. The other thing is to make it comfortable on your body and safe, guys, because if you Google this, you're gonna see like, oh, it's unsafe, da 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 da. But that's when people are being idiots. They use like boiling hot water and they burn themselves, or they use something to go in that like tears their anus or something like that. And it's like, don't be an idiot, okay? If you're an idiot, you're gonna get hurt. If you're really smart and you are careful, it's completely safe. Okay, so do your research is what I am always gonna tell you. Like, just be smart about it. Ask a practitioner for guidance if you need it. But so make sure you lube this up is one of the things that is really, really helpful. So you can either put it directly on your rear, whatever lube you use. I use like A&D, which is that baby's rash cream, but I use A&D. You can put it directly on this, although I found if you do that, you run the risk of plugging up the hole and making the water flow difficult, okay? So I just put it directly on, I get a baby wipe, I lay there, I put this in, I get my phone, and I lay down and I do the coffee enema, okay? So a couple of things, temperature for sure, make sure you're lubed. The last thing that's really, really, really important, again, don't be an idiot, sanitize your stuff, okay? Very carefully. So what I usually do is I take the whole thing and I bring it into the shower. Now, not every single time you're going to be able to shower directly after, but if you time it well, it's nice to be able to shower right after that anyway, because it's just like, well, I just did this, I'd really like to shower. But you can do it in a very, very clean way where you don't have to shower if you don't want to, or if you're, doing it at a different time of day. But it's great if you can do it all at once, because what I'll do is I'll put this in the shower, like I'll hook it on the opposite side, the handle on the opposite side, and then if I'm showering right then, I'll hold this up so that it fills up with water, and so it'll clean everything out first of all, so any of the coffee or anything that was still in there gets drained out, and then I will immediately follow it up with some hydrogen peroxide, okay? So obviously this cleans it and sanitizes it, but hydrogen peroxide also helps it to not mold. So that's really important, because the last thing that you want to do is be giving yourself a coffee enema and exposing yourself to mold and mycotoxins and other things that are really gross. Ooh, Patrick, well, you shouldn't say that because this one's yours. Mine's upstairs dry. So then what I do is, after I sanitize it in the shower, then I hang this up on top, and then I take the tube and I fold it over in half so that it drips down like this again. So you really want to be careful. You don't want it to retain like water in the tube, and you don't want mold to grow in there. So you really want to sanitize it, and then you really want to hang it up in a way where it can really truly dry out 100%, okay? And then with this particular one has two parts, so this actually comes off. So I would wash this in the sink with some soap, or like maybe first of all wipe it off with a baby wipe so it's just not so gross, and then rinse and soap it. And then what I do with this is I sit it in a glass jar with water, soap, and hydrogen peroxide, okay? So I let this sit, like I let this soak, because this is the gross part. This stuff, you rinse it off and you hydrogen peroxide it, it's fine, right? It didn't go up inside of anything, right? This did. So I wash it with water, soap, and then I soak it in water, soap, and hydrogen peroxide. And then I let it, because it just freaks me out a little bit, I let it soak for a couple days or until my next coffee enema or whatever, and then I rinse it off and do it again. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So a couple of things: make sure you get the right coffee, make sure you're very sanitary, make sure the temperature is body temperature when you do this. Use half at a time to see how your body reacts. Breathe, get a distraction. If at any time your body says, nope, gotta go, then that's okay. Don't squeeze your butt closed. Don't force it to hold in. Don't force your body to do something it doesn't want to do. I've been through both scenarios where I've been able to lay there for 15 to 20 minutes and it's been completely comfortable, no discomfort, my body retains it, it's not a problem. And I've also had the scenario where I put it in and like literally within 1 to 2 minutes, I'm like, nope, can't hold it in, I have to go to the bathroom. Either one is okay, but if you do all of these steps, you're gonna have a better chance of retaining it longer. And again, the reason you wanna do that is because it's gonna stimulate the liver to release those toxins, and so then you're getting that added benefit in addition to the colon cleanse itself. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful, and I hope this shed light on a really embarrassing and awkward topic that a lot of you have probably wondered about but been too scared to try. So if you have any other questions, please drop them below. And if you know somebody that you think would benefit from this video, feel free to share it. They can always get in touch with me at thetinyfitdiva.com. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.